computer. So having made that introduction, which was not recorded, let's pray to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vastai Putale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swanti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pucharine Nivasesha Sunyavadi Pashtatara Sakarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama. Okay, you can begin Mavla Vangalatika. Is maintaining material attachments of I and mine.
Yeah, you can hear me okay?
Yes, clearly.
Great. Maintaining material attachments of I and mine. All glories to Sri Gadadhar Pandit and Lord Sri Gauranga. All glories to Lord Nityananda, the life and soul of Srimati Janavadevi. All glories to Sri Advaita Acharya, the Lord of Mother Sita. All glories to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Drenched in tears of ecstatic love, Srila Haridas Thakur went on to explain, in a choked voice, the last of the offences to the holy name. My lord, this last namaparadha is the worst kind of offence. Its presence restricts the free flow of divine love, prema. Even after having taken spiritual initiation, most materially attached persons cannot fully give up bodily designations. They maintain a me and mine mentality that sidetracks them from the path of devotion. Physical designations, example, I am a Brahmana, I am a Vaishnava, I am a king, or this is my position, wealth, son, grandson, and so on, symptomize spiritual immaturity and are deterrents to proper cultivation of devotional service. This terrible offense is only ameliorated when one surrenders to the holy name. Every devotee must cease all namaparadhas and surrender completely to the holy name. According to the scriptures, the process of surrender has 6 limbs. It is beyond my ability to describe them in detail, yet I shall touch upon these 6 and place them before your lotus feet. The vow to accept everything favorable for the execution of devotional service, likewise to reject anything unfavorable, to be convinced that Lord Krishna will always give protection, to depend wholly on Krishna for everything, to always feel meek and humble, and to throw oneself at Lord Krishna's lotus feet. These are the 6 limbs of surrender. Devotional service is possible only while alive. Hence, one must accept only that which keeps the body and soul together. Life must be molded to facilitate devotional service. Therefore, one should develop a taste for objects that are connected to Lord Krishna. Simultaneously, a natural distaste for deterrence to devotional service also develops within the heart. Lord Krishna becomes the only protector and also the only maintainer, because no one is as dependable as he is. I, as his eternal slave, am somehow a part of Lord Krishna's family, and my only aspiration is to act according to Lord Krishna's will. One must give up false designations like Brahmana, Sudra, father, husband, king, subject, master, donor, or maintainer, and relinquish all attachments to money, body, sons, wife, etc. Instead, one should center the attachments and relationships around Krishna, thinking, he is the real master and Lord, and his will is my imperative. I am ready to act only to fulfill Lord Krishna's desire, and won't even think about my own wishes. I will adjust my household affairs for the Lord's satisfaction. By his wish, I will cross the material ocean. In times of both joy and sorrow, I will remain eternally Lord Krishna's servitor. Only by his desire can I become compassionate to the suffering of others. All my moments of material enjoyment and my moods of austerity are experienced solely due to the Lord's will. When these feelings arise spontaneously, one achieves the stage of Atma Nivedana, surrender of the soul. One unable to accept the 6 limbs of surrender is a prisoner of false ego, who always thinks in terms of me and mine. He proudly declares, I am the master here. This household and family belong to me. The fruits of work are mine by right of labor, and I am the enjoyer, whether they be bitter or sweet. I am my own protector and maintainer. This woman is my wife, here is my brother, he is my son. By the sweat of my brow I earn my own living. Success is the reward of my endeavors. Intoxicated with egoism, these materialistic persons overestimate their ability and intelligence. Scientists propagate their theories and develop technology to flaunt their denial of the Lord's omnipotence and even of the Lord himself. Among atheists, these are the worst demons. They take credit for the so-called advancement of scientific technology and for the material comfort it brings, but factually all is done by the Lord's will. This they conveniently forget.
Perhaps let's just
When,
let's pause there, pause for some reflections on this. Any questions on this or any reflections, as I said?
well, it says give up false designations like Brahmana Sudra, but actually, if we're going to do Varnashram, we need to recognize what Varna people are in.
Yeah, it's quite demanding what's being asked of us here, what's being asked of us. In other words, if we're cultivating Krishna consciousness, we are cultivating going back to the spiritual world. So we have to have a certain, we have to develop a certain detachment from our temporary positions in this world, whether we're mothers, daughters, husbands, or whatever it is, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, or Vaishyas. Predominantly should be our identity as the eternal servant of the Lord. But having said that, as Novalavanga has pointed out, we have to act, and we cannot but act within the framework of Varna and Ashram. Even if we're acting outside of Varna and Ashram as a member of the Malechas and Yavanas, or those who live in the jungle. And we have to identify, for the sake of smooth running of society, whether we're male or female. Although that's questioned today, and we won't go down that route. So yes, it's understood that we have to function in Varnashram, and we're not being asked to stop functioning in that role, but actually internally, through chanting the holy name, we should be developing a sense of detachment. And that detachment is based on the knowledge that we are actually really, we are completely dependent, and we are the eternal servants of Krishna. So that's a gradual cultivation. And I think this is being brought up as the 6 divisions of surrender. Let me just backtrack a bit.
Flames of surrender.
By following these 6 divisions of surrender, we will become free from these attachments of I and mine. So this has been given as the path. But it's quite a tall order to not identify whatsoever. I mean, it must be difficult for a mother not to identify as being a mother. I can only imagine. Those of you who are mothers there. So it's not, you understand what's being asked of us here. It's being asked to, it's not to act in, we're not being asked not to act in those roles, or not to be callous in those roles. But ultimately we should understand that how many, in a previous life was probably a father. And a previous life before that, we may have been a cow. In the previous life before that, we may have been this, we may have been that. So these are all actually temporary designations which pales to insignificance in identifying ourselves as a Supreme Lord. But we have these, we're born, it's that karma, we have male body, female body, mother, father, son. I even mentioned grandson here. Interesting how different designate. What else is it? Grandson, husband, donor. Even if you're a donor, you shouldn't identify as being a donor. Or so in other words, we shouldn't materially identify. So that's a gradual thing. Gradually, as we become aware of Krishna and aware of our relationship with him, then we will more identify with that, and everything else will be secondary, right? Does that help to clarify that?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu, can I say something?
Yes.
I was thinking, uh, all that is talking about just doing the duty, what Bhagavad Gita saying, think of me and do the duty, basically. Even you're thinking, don't think, okay, this is my duty as a mother, I'm doing my duty.
Yeah, you're right. Krishna is, well, that's nicely spotted. You've managed to see that Krishna's in the Bhagavad Gita. This is what he's asking of Arjuna, to do his duty as a fighter, but I forget the Sanskrit now, anushmaran, I think. But at the same time, you have to remember me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that's what we're doing as devotees. We're trying to cultivate that consciousness. So so doing duty means, so it's a good verse actually, because it points out doing duty is going to be your situation in Varna and Ashram. Like Arjuna's duty was to fight.
Yeah.
You should remember Krishna. Yeah. Yeah, so this is how we move in the world. This is how we maneuver in the world. We have this other identification that we're trying to develop as being eternal servant of Krishna.
I will adjust my household affairs for the Lord's satisfaction. By his wish, I will cross the material ocean.
Yeah, that's a nice statement, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Papa would often say we should mold our lives in such a way.
Yeah.
You can always think of Krishna. So molding means it takes time. You have to work with it. I don't know if anyone's ever worked with clay before and tried to mold a pot.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yes. In that mesh, you have to
Yeah.
it's with the leg.
Yeah. So you have to adjust things. You have to adjust things. You mold it. It's not like, doesn't happen like overnight, suddenly.
Yeah.
So that's often what it's like in our development of Krishna consciousness. And we're going to have to keep molding
Mm.
because the material energy throws different things at us. So we have to keep molding it. But then, we have to mold our lives in such a way that we can think of Krishna.
And
So that's so that's an ongoing task. Yeah.
And very nicely said, only by his desire can I become compassionate to the suffering of others.
Yeah, where are you reading from now?
That is after.
I've got it. I've got it here. Yeah. You're reading.
Only by his desire.
Yeah, that's very nice pointing that out as well. Yeah. Compassion, actually, Krishna is compassionate. And if we tune in with Krishna, then we also become compassionate. If we become Krishna conscious, then we become compassionate. Yeah,
So basically, if you are not compassionate in any situation, you can really think, oh, this is not what Krishna is not there then.
Yeah, compassion is a nice quality to have. It's a divine quality to feel for other person's suffering, to feel for others,
Yeah.
That's
what they say, maybe be conscious before becoming Krishna conscious.
Yeah, in other words, at least come to the mode of goodness. So let's be conscious first.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to continue reading another couple of paragraphs, Mavalabanga?
Yeah, great.
It was here when the atheists hear.
Yeah. When the atheists hear of the glory of the holy name, they disbelieve it. Yet sometimes even they utter Krishna's holy name due to the pressure of social norms. But since this kind of chanting is bereft of faith, they never experience bliss. Such are the stereotyped ways of cheaters who make a mere show of religion. By repeating Krishna's name, even though in neglect, they earn a little piety, but they are deprived of the actual result of chanting, pure love of Godhead. The cause of their offensiveness is material engrossment. They are so captivated by the illusory potency that they are blinded. and it is extremely difficult for them to get free of their offensive condition. Only one who acquires a taste for pure devotional service becomes disgusted with material life. Leaving it, he takes full shelter of the holy name. Leaving aside all material attachments and accepting voluntary poverty, one should humbly worship Lord Krishna's lotus feet, taking full shelter of the chanting of the holy name. He should search out the association of sadhus and serve them without material desires. Gradually, his heart will become impregnated with attraction for the holy name. The egoistic mentality of me and mine will disappear, and he will surmount the ocean of material nescience. By hearing the glories of the holy name, the last traces of false ego will dissipate. Symptoms of a pure devotee will then blossom in his heart, and he will take to the 6 processes of surrender. He who finds complete shelter in the holy name is a great soul, for he becomes the recipient of the treasure of Krishna Prem.
Okay, perhaps we'll just stop there. Any questions about this statement here? Is everyone okay with that?
Well, it sounds like a simple thing to do. You just put it all in one sentence, and actually there's so
Very
much.
very difficult to put in practice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
deciding material attachments and accepting voluntary poverty.
Hmm.
This egoistic mentality of me and mine. I mean, years ago when we used to come to the temple, they're all married, unmarried, all the devotees would live in the temple in those days.
Yeah.
And it was, this is not mine, and this and me and mine used to happen there. But when they had to leave the temple to have their own houses because they were married people, they were lost, having cultivated that immaturely, that this is not mine and this is not, this is egoistic mentality. A lot of people, devotees, were lost because it was immature renunciation of me and mine.
Yeah, very good point. One devotee described it, I think one of it just in one class, I remember, was describing it as, a classic case where the brahmachari kind of leaves aside his relationship with his parents and practices Krishna consciousness. And then a few years later, he's negotiating marriage. Then all of a sudden, he strikes up the relationship with the parents again, who have got some wealth. He wants to get some money. So yeah, I particularly this caught my attention because generally our preaching is not really based on this, accepting poverty as such. The Christians speak of this, of accepting mother poverty. And a lot of Christian saints or Christian orders, they actually make vows of poverty. And they vow to live their life in actual poverty, which means having no money, hardly, having nothing, owning anything. But I think from our Vaishnava perspective, it's a different. Yeah, so in other words, I would say that our only real asset is actually Krishna. Our only real wealth is actually Krishna. It's actually Krishna. That should be our only thing that we cherish, is Krishna. Because there are, the demigods are devotees and they don't live in poverty. Anyway, any other comments on that? I don't think we're being asked to live by begging, but we shouldn't be gross materialists. We want to accumulate more and more and more. We should live simple lives as far as possible. Anyway, any other comments on that?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, if your consciousness is not attached to the material facilities that Krishna gave you, if you're just using it as Krishna's energy and Krishna's service, then actually that is actually living in some kind of poverty.
Yeah, you could look at it like that. Yeah, nothing. Yeah, you're just living with what you need to serve the Lord,
Yeah,
and you're not on the. As Queen Kunti prays, that one can easily take shelter of Krishna, except those who are on the path of trying to improve themselves materially.
yeah.
It's very difficult to take shelter of Krishna. Yeah, and I think back to that point, Mother Raj Kishore made a good point and observation in the early days of Krishna consciousness. Devotees, you could say, immaturely, but you have to admit that they were sincere. They were very sincere in their surrender to Krishna. But ultimately, how can we say? Ultimately, when the
The married devotees had to leave the temple to live outside.
yeah, ultimately, I'm trying to explain that many, even now, a lot of devotees very enthusiastically, a lot of people may enthusiastically jump into Krishna consciousness and, for instance, join the ashram. I'm saying even now. But eventually, at some point, they're going to find they're not going to be able to maintain that high level of surrender. And they will then find a platform to actually be able to be more comfortable for the long-term practice of Krishna consciousness. So that's what happened in the early days. They all jumped in, I think because of Prabhupada's presence as well. But then eventually they found their actual platform, which is going to be suitable for them for long-term practice, which for most will be then negotiating marriage, etc., and making Krishna the center. Social phenomena that we saw in our movement in the beginning. I'm just saying that even now, devotees, because from my experience, I don't know how many devotees I've seen come and stay in the ashram, and there ain't many that stay. I mean, the reason I'm here because I'm completely hopeless of doing anything else out there in the material world. So I don't know, I'll be finished. So I've got no choice. But I see many others, they come and they're fully, fully surrendering and this and that, but then eventually they find their own, they come down and practice from a different place, if that makes sense.
Prabhu, some fade away also, isn't it, Prabhu?
Sorry?
But some devotees who had that so much jumping enthusiasm, they fade away as well.
Yeah, that's always there. There may be offenses that may be made. They may move away from Krishna consciousness. But we have that statement, isn't it, Krishna? There is no loss of diminution. So
Yeah.
whatever they did, even if they surrender for 2 weeks or a month or a year, they are better situated than the they are better situated than Elon Musk.
I mean, I met somebody when I was doing a local, like just a community festival. We had a little book table there with another devotee. And this guy came along and he said, oh yeah, I lived in the ashram in Bhaktivedanta Manor for like 6 months or something. And you know what took him away from the ashram was he had to go and get a bar of chocolate. I mean, he left because he couldn't live without eating chocolate.
That's probably true, but I think there might have been a bit more to it than that, which perhaps he's not admitting.
Yeah, he said he left over a bar of chocolate, basically. Yeah, so
the initial thing that kind of took him out, but I should imagine there's probably some underlying material desires which also help to direct him outside of the ashram. But
at that time, a bar of chocolate was considered a big fall down. Now it's like you can
Yeah, I
eat
know.
chocolate.
Yeah, things have changed. I know. One time we was sorry, I have all these stories.
Even mushrooms, even mushrooms.
Yeah, one time many years ago,
No
um,
much.
there was a padayatra organized. This was about 20 years ago, 23 years ago, more or something. And we all had, Parashuram was organizing a padayatra in the UK, and the whole temple was going, but we was going at different times, to maintain the temple. So 5 devotees would go. Then one time all the brahmacharis went, and one of the brahmacharis bought a Mars bar.
Oh my God.
And then everyone got called back to the temple, and no one was allowed to go on padayatra again. Because one
I think
brahmachari bought a
Mars
Mars.
actually have eggs in it.
Yeah,
Snickers
yeah,
for sure has eggs in it.
Yeah,
Have
Mars,
to be careful.
Snickers, eggs are there. Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, just that point. Yeah, so there you go. Another good. So just saying that the atmosphere then was a bit different now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I still remember at my initiation time, because I said mushroom. My Guru Maharaj was looking at me because mushroom is allowed, now. I said no mushroom. He was looking, no mushroom. I said, no mushroom. I don't want to take mushroom.
yeah.
No.
So yeah, all right. So let's perhaps read on a bit, shall we? There's lots of nice points mentioned here in this chapter. So let's have, who's the Mother Raj Kishore? You can. I think we're carrying on from here. I think.
Spiritual benefit. Okay. Symptoms of one who is free from namaparadha. Full spiritual benefit is not acquired simply by avoiding the 10 namaparadha. These 10 offenses have their distinctive features in being warned to avoid them. One is actually being ordered to positively implement the specific saintly qualities that render these aparadha impossible. Therefore, one must not criticize but glorify the saintly Vaishnavas. Worship Krishna as the Supreme Absolute Lord. Realize the excellence of Guru who initiates one into the holy name. Comprehend the preeminence of the scriptures that reveal the glories of the holy name. Root out and destroy the desire to commit sins. Know within the heart that the holy name is eternally situated in pure transcendence. Preach the glories of holy name only to the faithful. Give up ritualistic, pious activities entirely and surrendering fully to the holy name. Chant without delusion. Bhava attained quickly by the offenseless chanting. When one is thus free from the offenses, he becomes the most fortunate being. He acquires all good qualities and becomes eligible to receive Lord Krishna's causeless mercy. Very quickly, his chanting awards him the divine fruit of bhava, the first stage of prem. Thus, the offenseless chanter is immediately promoted from sadhana or practice stage to bhava, or spontaneous pure devotional service. From bhava comes prem, which according to the scripture is a mature fruit of the pure devotion, the acme of pure all perfection. My dear Chaitanya, my dear Lord Chaitanya, you have personally substantiated the fact that if any devotee chants the holy name free from offenses, he will quickly obtain Krishna prem. Offensive chanting impedes pure devotion. If one continues to chant with offenses, then in spite of many endeavors, he will never attain pure devotion. The fruitive worker or karmi enjoys heavenly bliss through karma. The gnani obtains liberation as a result of empirical knowledge. But pure devotion of Lord Krishna, which is very rarely attained, is available only through pure devotional service. The bliss of heaven and liberation is compared to mother of pearl, the shining inner surface of the pearl oyster shell. But pure devotion to Krishna is a priceless gem, the pearl itself. It is the Jeev's prerogative to attain the success of his sadhana. The meaning of expert practice is that one avoids the 10 namaparadhas. The severity of namaparadha. If one is sufficiently greedy for obtaining pure devotion, he'll chant free from 10 offenses. He must diligently avoid each of the offenses with feeling of deep repentance for having ever committed them. He should pray sincerely at the lotus feet of the holy name and chant with determination. Only then will he be blessed with the mercy of the holy name, which will destroy all his offenses. No other activity or penance can possibly exculpate his offenses. The process of renouncing namaparadha. Offenses to the holy name of the Lord are dissolved solely through the constant chanting. When they are thus destroyed, they can never reappear. Constant chanting means apart from the minimal time for rest and other bare physical necessities, one should chant throughout all hours of the day with intense contrition. No other penance or ritual is as effective as this. When the offenses are destroyed, the pure holy name blossoms within the heart. The pure name of Krishna delivers bhava and finally prem. O Lord Chaitanya, I humbly pray at your lotus feet that the 10 offenses in chanting the holy name of the Lord never find a place in my heart. Please kindly grant that I may remain submerged in the nectar of the pure name. This wretched Bhaktivinod is able to recite Harinam Chintamani with great joy only on the strength of Srila Haridas Thakur's causeless mercy.
Okay, thank you, Mother
Thank
Ratisha.
you.
Let's just pause there. So this finishes this chapter. Very interesting. There's a list is given there. Lists are often quite good because they act as a summary. So a list of 10 mindsets or 10 meditations is given. Or is it 10? Oh no, a list is given to avoid the 10 offenses, and that's what's being mentioned here. So if we're going to take notes of anything, these things are here are worth noting down and putting up on our wall or in our bathroom, but spending some time meditating upon and kind of observing how we are doing here. So one is not to criticize, but to glorify Vaishnavas and worshiping Krishna, the Supreme Absolute Lord, etc. And the others here. Realizing the excellence of the Guru, comprehending the preeminence of scriptures. Yeah, so this is all relating to the offenses. Root out and destroy the desire to commit sins on the strength of the holy name. Know within the heart that the holy name is eternally situated in pure transcendence. It's not just a ritualistic activity. Preaching the glories of the holy name only to the faithful means not preaching to the unfaithful, giving up ritualistic pious activities. They're not thinking that the holy name is a pious ritual, and then ultimately giving up sense of I, me, and mine. So yeah. But any other reflections on this last section of this chapter? Reading this, it's got a sense of urgency, isn't it? You feel a sense of urgency in the words of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He's really encouraging us to really give up the offenses, to actually experience love. So that's why it's, we can read this and we can try and share Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mood or his bhava here. Like here, I don't know how many of us have actually prayed to Lord Chaitanya that we can be free from offenses to the holy name. Of any of us, perhaps we might not have done that we've actually prayed to Krishna. Some of us might have, might not, but I know it's not a daily practice for myself, but hearing this prayer here, I'm thinking, yes, I should offer some prayers to Lord Chaitanya, that I can be free of the offenses. Here it says that they have no place in my heart. Please may I never be overcome by these offenses. So you can notice that there's a certain Aisha Bandha, there's a certain strong desire here. Any comments on that?
I felt realize the excellence of the Guru who initiates one into the holy name. Today being Guru Purnima, I felt that is very relevant.
Yeah, today is Guru Purnima. Actually, Guru Purnima is a day I just read today. It's a day that the Mayavad Sampradaya worship their gurus,
Gurus, yeah.
but
Yeah,
we
that is
take it in a different way. And today is
yeah.
the disappearance or appearance of
Disappearance of Sanatana
and
Goswami.
also the disappearance of a great saint in our ISKCON society, His Holiness Bhakti True Swami. Yeah, so we
Swami.
can offer prayers in that regard. Yeah. And okay, so the next chapter gives quite a long list. It now goes on to, because there's offenses to the holy name, and there's also offenses we have to avoid in devotional service in general, which specifically is focused around worshipping or panchatrika worship, in worshipping the deity. So these things can also be an impediment to fully experiencing Pava and Prema. I'm so going to hear about those. And let's just have a quick scroll forward to see how relatively short chapter. Are we ready for this? Let's see. Any other questions? Otherwise, we can go into this here. Okay, let's ask Nimai Mata. Maybe you can read. Nitai Mata. Not sorry, not Nimai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I won't be able to read, Prabhu. I'm getting an overseas call just now. Sorry, Prabhu. I will come back.
Okay, I can pick it up reading here. Okay. Offenses in devotional service, chapter 14. All glories to Sri Gadadhar Pandit and to Lord Gauranga. All glories to Lord Nityananda, the life and soul of Srimati Chanavi Devi. All glories to Mother Sita and to Advaita Acharya. All glories to Srila Shivas Pandit and to all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, my dear devotee Haridas, the conditioned souls of Kali Yuga will greatly benefit from this elaborate explanation of the offenses against the holy name that you've so far given. You are indeed a great spiritual stalwart and acharya. Srila Haridas Thakur is Namacharya, or the foremost spiritual authority on the subject of the holy name. He practiced everything he preached. He taught the Jivas about the pure holy name, the shadowy name, or Namabhas, and the glories of the holy name. He also instructed how one should quit committing namaparadha. He taught all this by his own example. Lord Chaitanya continued, I very much relish your dissertation on the holy name. As an acharya, you are exemplary. As a preacher, you are profound. You are always ornamented by the priceless gem of the Lord's holy name. Ramananda Roy taught me the esoteric science of divine mellows, and now you have instructed me on the profound philosophy of the holy name. Kindly speak on the different kinds of offenses made in the execution of devotional service. Sri Haridas Thakur replied, you are asking me about the subject that is more familiar to a servitor devotee. Oh. My time is taken up in association with the holy name. I don't know what to say about all this, yet I cannot disregard your instruction. I will speak whatever you make me say. So I think Haridas Thakur is saying he's got his rounds to chant. Not this he has to do, and of course he's got a divine attachment for the holy name. But still he's gonna answer Lord Chaitanya's question. So about sevaparadha. Offenses in devotional service, sevaparadha, are numerous. In some scriptures, 32 offenses are listed, and in others, 50. Scripture generally identifies 4 classifications of sevaparadha. Sevaparadha is always related to deity worship. So here's the 4 classifications. The 4 classifications of offenses in deity worship are those pertaining to persons engaged in deity worship, those pertaining to the installation of deities, those pertaining to persons taking darshan of the deity, and those that generally apply in all cases. These can be easily determined. All right, that's interesting. I've never seen this breakdown before. So specifically, we're going to hear about offenses by the pujaris, offenses by the priests who are installing the deities, and those who are taking darshan. All right, so let's go through these. You might have to stop and explain them. This we cover in our Nectar of Devotion classes as well. But interesting, the breakdown that's given here. Okay, the list of 32 offenses in deity worship are as follows. Entering the temple with shoes or alighting from a vehicle before the deity as if on a promenade. All right, is that clear, that one? Of course, we're familiar with that. We take off our shoes before we go in the temple room, but in India, they take the shoes off mostly before they enter the temple. But for practical reasons.
Yeah, I noticed I was watching Radhadesh temple, and you know they do those tours, and I've seen occasionally they lay out like a kind of rug in the temple room, and so people who don't want to take off their shoes can walk on that mat and enter the temple room with their shoes.
Yeah, also you'll see in other places in New Rajasthan when they do VIP events where there's members of parliament or there's government officials coming, then they do the same as well. Or sometimes they may have like covers put on the shoes. So for preaching, sometimes these things can be done.
Yeah, I mean, Prabhupada said it can be done. You just have a section of area where people with shoes go.
Yeah, that was Prabhupada's, the reason you see that, thank you for bringing that up as well, because Prabhupada did give that. So for preaching, many things can be done, but for us, it's not, and for us, we're quite well trained in it, isn't it? I know whenever someone steps in our temple room with shoes on, it's like they get struck down by a bolt of lightning by the devotees. It's very quick to stop them from entering with shoes on, because it's so much part of our culture. So so you may see exceptions to this, but the only exception will be in regards to special occasions and for preaching. Okay. And not alighting from a vehicle before deity. So there's sometimes you see temples in India, they have open plan where there's no walls, there's just posts. So one shouldn't just, drive right up to the deity darshan in a car or vehicle. You should approach the temple with humility, enter through the gate, wash your feet, ring the bell as you enter. You shouldn't just, you get the idea? You should just pull up in your car and take darshan and drive off. So not observing the festival days. Okay. Yeah, we have to observe the festivals, maybe in a small way or big way. Prabhupada observed Janmashtami on the Jaladuta. He didn't miss it, but he did it. Yeah, what he did, he cooked something something small, and he offered it to all the other passengers. And he spoke on the Krishna book. He spoke a little bit about Krishna. Of course.
So what about like Radhastami and Rath Yatra on the same day?
Yeah, yeah, well, we're
But I
gonna.
mean, obviously, we can do both, but they won't. Radhastami will kind of have to merge into Rath Yatra kind of thing.
Yeah, we're going to actually now. We're going to worship Radhastami the day before.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we're going to have a full Radhastami the day before. So look out for that. Yeah, that was
Oh, no.
whose idea was that? We were speaking. Chandramoli Maharaj mentioned that we could
Oh,
do
okay.
that, and he's going to come and give class. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
September. Okay.
So here's some news hot off the press. It's not been announced officially. There we go. Hare Krishna. So yeah, we have to. Yeah, we have to. Not have to. We should like to observe the festivals.
Prabhu, why Rath Yatra became on that day? Is it because we couldn't get permission?
Yeah, speak to the dictionary, tell you a whole. Yeah, we had no choice.
Oh,
Yeah, no, yeah. We was given the different. We was given two or three. We was given two or three options, and the other options was on a Saturday. Anyway, Tikshu's got. He can tell you. It wasn't done whimsically. Obviously, there's reasons behind it, and it's to do with the government restriction, etc. Yeah. So, entering the temple without having washed their hands and feet after eating.
We left number 3.
Three.
Forgetting to offer
Forgetting to offer
obeisances and
faith and prayers to the deities. Okay.
hmm.
So prayers, we should do. It's nice to be in the practice of Vandanam. We just pulled up that prayer that Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays, so we can be free from offenses. So nice habit to have. We go into the temple, we pay obeisances, and then we glorify the Lord, and then we pray. It can be a short prayer. Oh my Lord, please, oh my Lord, oh sweet Lord, oh you who are very merciful, please cast your merciful glance on this wretched soul. And that's it. We pray it can be like that. Is that all right? It's best. Yeah, not. We should stand there. We should actually be praying to the Lord. Sorry, I cut someone off there.
Thinking most of the Indian bodies have asked many times, oh, where can we wash our hands? Where can we wash our feet before going to the temple? Many have asked this question, They
Yeah,
get upset. Oh, can't we do it? I said, what can we do? You can go up and wash your hands, take your shoes out, only that.
yeah, we have different situation, different circumstances. At least you can wash your hands,
Yeah.
washing the feet. I know. I remember Bhakti Truswami was given a seminar on Vaishnava etiquette, and he was saying that in the West, generally, it's not possible to wash your feet before
Yeah,
the temple. In India, generally, it is possible.
possible, yeah. At least
Things
wash
are
your
set
hands
up.
and feet. Yeah.
Yeah, things are set up in that way. So I'm sure the Lord understands the situation.
Yeah.
One, offering worship to the deity in an unclean or contaminated state. So this obviously thinks this specifically refers to the pujaris. I think these, yeah, because these are here it said persons engaged in deity worship. So this one definitely is regards to the pujaris, and we all know the term pujari, clean. Yeah, there's other details on this. One shouldn't enter the temple. Perhaps it's going to bring it up here. Yeah, it will come up. But is it any questions on that you can ask?
Yeah, I mean, at home, people have different standards, and they have, sometimes they have Radha Krishna deities, and they have no possibility of someone else cooking for them if they're in a contaminated state, and so they cook. Obviously, that's not the best.
No, that's not the best, but home worship. But the Lord should get his offering. Even Prabhupada said in regards to temples, actually. He said in regards to, OTAs, we call, what we know off the altar. that if the worship will discontinue, then the Mataji or the lady should continue with her service. Prabhupada said that actually. But he said better to avoid it, but if it's unavoidable, then the service should go on. So generally, or at least in our temple, I can't remember one occasion, definitely for cooking and dressing, where we have had to compromise that. Right, so that's the second. Well, this one's
It's
a
best
favorite.
not to have Radha Krishna deities. It's
Sorry?
best to have Gaurnitai in the home
Yeah.
worship.
Yeah, that's what generally is going to be recommended, but here you're going to find not all, devotees have Radha Krishna at home. So this is what
Otherwise,
when we're doing a home worship seminar, then we always bring up these points before we know what deity are you thinking of worshiping at home, who are you worshiping. So there's some considerations to be considered, and especially when it comes to Radha Krishna.
But the South Indian, mostly South Indian background, the Brahmins and the South Indian, and they say no, they don't want to. They don't do anything. Husband will do everything. That is their standard base. Some I know many our ISKCON devotees.
Yeah, there's different parts of India, different cultures they will follow. Yeah. But we have offering obeisances with one hand. So this is a favorite offense to make. When they come in, they have a japa bag in one hand, and they go down pay obeisances. And I think I might have said before, like it's a good start to the japa. You come into the temple room to chant japa, and the first thing you do is make an offense.
Or worse, even have your phone in one hand.
Yeah, so we should put these things down, put the bead bag down, put the phone down or whatever, and pay obeisances properly with at least two hands on the floor. Because it's too casual otherwise. It's like coming into your bedroom, a little bit. It's too casual. The temple room is a very formal place. So we should have a sense of great respect upon entering. That's why we ring the bell, we put a bead bag down, and we pay obeisances. We don't just want to get it over and done with as quick as possible. Like it's more like it's an inconvenience for us to pay obeisances. So we try, so we don't do it properly. But here you are. Here it says, offering obeisance, it's an offense with one hand. Yeah. Circumambulating, all right, this will be a big discussion, I should think. Circumambulating before the deity. Everyone's okay with that? There's a question that comes up here.
Yeah, Prabhu, sometimes at home with the tulsi, because of the space, when you're doing a tulsi picture also, then it's almost near the in front of the Gauranitai. Well,
you have to, home different, according to your situation, it may be difficult. But I say questions come up in this regard, generally in kirtan. Devotees circumambulate, when things get going, when things get spirited. Devotees are circumambulating before the deity. So is that okay or not? According to the first reading here, it seems like it's not okay. Yeah, but actually, I don't remember what the answer to this is. I forget now.
close, it's okay.
As far as I remember, kirtan has different set of rules that come in, and kirtan gets quite spirited and spontaneous. Sometimes devotees do dance in such a way, so that ultimately is considered to be giving pleasure to the Lord. But perhaps I have to let me look that one up. There's unless someone knows exactly. There's a booklet that was produced by Janananda Maharaj, about kirtan and the standards in the temple, and he addresses that this here. He addresses this there. So let me report back to you on that one. But as far as I understand, it's kind of okay. Kind of okay means I'm not quite sure.
Prabhu, circumambulating home or what? What is it?
Circulating means going.
Or in general, just going in circle.
Yeah. Circumambulating. So I think the idea here is actually, I'm just remembering now, that the idea here is that you shouldn't turn your back before the deity. That's the idea. So if you're going to circumambulate, your back's going to be before the deity. I mean, that's why what we try and do is when we are circumambulating, then we turn around as we're going past the front of the altar, and our hands, and we're facing the deity. You understand? There we go. So just keep that in mind.
But ladies, when they dance in a circle, say they dance holding hands and they're putting the hands in and out, they turn their backs to, you would be turning your back to the deity in that case.
Yeah. So,
so that's right. It should be in lines, yeah?
Yeah.
People dance in lines.
Yeah, but it's going to be, honestly, this one's you're not going to be able to implement this. It's difficult. They're going, it's starting circles. But it's just reminding me of that. I'm just going to highlight this if I can. I'm going to, for my interest as well, I'm going to look that
What
up.
about Guru Puja? We turn to Prabhupada and deities are open.
Yeah. That we run.
Really, we should be standing to the side. But I know some Prabhupada disciples, they really make a point of this. They can understand that in Prabhupada's presence, it was obviously more apparent, very much apparent, that one shouldn't stand with your back towards Prabhupada. Very apparent. But now it's a bit difficult to implement that. Yes, Prabhupada's present in his deity form, but Achincha Beda Tattva, if Prabhupada was present, if we consider Prabhupada's presence absolutely in the same way when he's personal present, then we should be fanning him all day. You know what I mean? We should stay there all day. Someone should be serving the deity all day. Anyway, some thoughts on that. So let's 6 o'clock. Let's just hit 6 o'clock. And I've got another Zoom thing after 10. So let's pause there, and I'll do my homework, and next week we'll continue with these here. Okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you for joining us, everyone. And tomorrow we have
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
We have
Thanks to Prabhu Ki Jai.
everyone. Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, God.
Ki Jai.